The fallow deer great one is one of the most sought after great one species here in the Hunter Call of the Wild. They have some of the coolest rack variations, some of the coolest fur variations out of any great one in the entire game. By the end of today's video, you guys are going to know absolutely everything that you're going to need to know to spawn yourself one of those great ones. That's right guys, here today we're going to be doing a fallow deer great one guide covering all of my best tips and tricks from my last 3 grinds. I have to this day spawned 3 different fallow deer great ones. The first one was a very long and painful grind, and I have to say, over 12,000 fallow deer kills later, it will never get old. So definitely stick around until the end today, because I would hate it if you guys missed out on any information at all. It can and very well will mess up the grinding technique, and that is a mistake that I made for so long as a beginner player. I would not watch video tutorials all the way through, and I would miss so much crucial information. So my best advice for you, my friends, is to stay until the end. And without further ado, my friends, let's dive right in. So diving right in here today, the very first thing that you should do for any great one grind, no matter what grind it is that you're planning on doing, is to go ahead and find all of your animals' drink zones. Now, the map that I would suggest to you the most that you do your fallow grind in is going to be here in Aotearoa. And the reason for that is because of the fact that it has the lowest amount of zones, the zones are the most wide open, and the zone finding process is going to be very easy. So fallow deer drink here in Aotearoa from 10 until 13, and definitely stick around here for a little bit because I am going to be showing you guys a detailed hotspot map which will highlight every single area that you should be searching for your zones at, and quite frankly every single area that fallow deer can possibly be found at. Now I'm going to go ahead and shoot 1 or 2 of these fallow real quick, just to get them down and out of the way. The fallow grind is one of the most easy and enjoyable grinds in the sense of herd management. I would strongly suggest that you do use herd management, as we're going to be talking about it a little bit here in today's video. If you're a very beginner grinder and you don't know what herd management is and you're just trying to take some baby steps into grinding, I would strongly suggest checking out my beginner's guide to grinding video and my herd management explained video, where I go into detail explaining how to use herd management and exactly what it will do for your grind. Both of those videos can be found on my channel and or linked in the description. So a huge tip when searching for your drink zones, something that I always do, and we could probably go get that fallow over there in the meantime, is I will always have my binoculars out and I'm pretty much constantly spotting. Now that deer right there is a shooter deer. We're going to talk about how to classify a fallow as a shooter or a non-shooter here in just a little bit. And you know, I might as well shoot his friend right there too, because that would technically be a shooter deer as well. I don't really know if he's going to make the required score, but I'm still going to shoot him. There's 1 and there's 2, but pretty much zone finding is going to be a slightly time-consuming task. But my best advice for you would be to pull up the hotspot map that I'm going to be providing to you here in just a little bit, set it to around 11 o'clock, which will give you about 2 hours of in-game time or 15 to 20 minutes IRL time. Just run some of the highlighted areas and search for some fallow zones. Now, something I didn't include in my last fallow guide was how to tell if you have all of your drink zones. Now, obviously, you're going to want to make sure that you've ran every single area on the map that fallow can potentially be multiple times, and make sure that you have as many drink zones as you possibly can find. Once you've made it to that point, what I would recommend doing is picking any drink zone that has males and females in it. Do not pick a zone with just males in it, because that's a solo zone, and when you shoot a male out of any solo zone, that zone will then vanish and respawn somewhere completely random on the map. So once you've picked that zone with bucks and does in it, the next thing that you're going to want to do is pick the biggest buck in the zone, shoot that buck, claim that buck, main menu, come back to that zone, and if there's a new buck there that you've never seen before, then you are getting consistent respawns. Therefore, you have all of your drink zones. The whole reason that we're searching for drink zones and trying to find them all is because of the fact that if you do not have all your drink zones, you will not get consistent respawns. Well, it looks like our floater's stuck out there. That's unfortunate. So definitely having all those drink zones is very important. Okay, so now that you guys have found all your drink zones for the fallow deer, what you guys are going to want to do now is start to begin your herd management process. This is where the grind really starts to become fun. People tend to look at it as if it's a task. I really find it to be a very satisfying and enjoyable experience, and as you start to begin your HM process, you guys are going to understand exactly what I mean. So this zone here is going to be the perfect example to start to explain herd management. As you guys can see, there's only 2 bucks in this zone, and if you glance up to the information card in the upper right hand corner, you're going to notice that both of these bucks have a maximum trophy estimate of under 150. A buck that has a trophy estimate of 150 or bigger technically is a shooter buck, unless you have enough experience to look at the rack and pretty much know for sure that it's not going to score above 150. But if you don't have any experience with the fallow deer and you just have no idea how to tell, shooting down every single buck to below 150 is a very good choice. In what a zone like this is called, as they're kind of trotting away because their drink time ended, is a non-shooter or an exterior zone. This is a zone that you're only going to be temporarily shooting in order to get any males in that zone to shot down bucks. Again, a shot down buck is a buck that has a maximum estimate of below 150. Now we're going to talk about main zones. Main zones are 8 to 12 zones that you pick, and they're going to be the 8 to 12 zones that you're doing the main part of your grind off of. Now, you will not begin shooting these until after your herd management process is complete, unless you're using a method called stacking, where in the process of getting your exterior zones shot down, you will occasionally shoot some bucks out of your main zones in hopes of spawning a level 5 fallow or a guaranteed diamond fallow. Not any level 5 fallow is a guaranteed diamond. You have to make sure that it is a guaranteed diamond fallow, and then leaving that diamond fallow in your main zone, and over time leaving countless of diamonds in your main zones. What this is going to do for your grind is it's going to make it so that way the game senses that there's max level animals on your map, because obviously you have diamonds in your main zone stacked that you're not planning on shooting anytime soon. And what the game tries to do is balance itself out by force spawning small animals, and that's good news for us, because of the fact that we need small animals in our exterior zones as fast as possible. So having those diamonds in your main zones is going to help you out with your herd management, and if you have the time, I would strongly suggest spending 1 or 2 hours a day just harvesting your main zones alongside your exterior zones in hopes of getting some max level animals into your mains in order to force spawn those smaller deer. So the whole goal with herd management is to make it so that way every single zone besides the 8 to 12 main zones that you chose on your map is filled with tiny or non-shooter bucks in order to make it so that way bigger bucks consistently spawn into your main zones. Now, this doesn't always happen 100% of the time. Every now and then I'll get a tiny little buck in one of my mains, and I've seen some people have some confusion where they will leave non-shooter bucks in their mains, confusing that with where they should leave non-shooter bucks in their exteriors. And all this is going to do is slow down your herd management process. Make sure that in your main zones you harvest every single male animal. The only exception for that is if you're using stacking, where then you would leave max level animals in your map, as just explained. Shooting down your map is a very time-consuming process. I would suggest asking a friend to help you on out with that process. Join my Discord if you're looking for someone to play with. We do have a Call the Wild LFG or Looking for Group channel where there's literally hundreds of people on a daily basis that are looking for a multiplayer buddy just like you. Just drop a message in there and I'm sure someone will reply and be more than willing to join up. Now, in the sense of getting set up, I would recommend using all 16 tents that the map will let you place on 16 separate zones all at one time, so that way you can be shooting 16 zones at once in order to be getting 16 zones shot down at a time. Anytime that a zone gets fully shot down, pull that tent and that tripod and move on to another zone, and in that process of rotating through your zones, you're gonna find zones that you like. For me, all the zones that I like are places that I have tents or hunting structures at right now, besides this tent up here, that's for red deer, and this tent right here, as obviously that's for tar. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw a hotspot map up on screen for you guys right now, kindly provided by my friend ProXCK. All these hotspot maps can be found in my Discord server and in ProXCK's Discord server, which are both linked down in the description for you guys. Okay, and then last but not least, in the sense of different types of zones to look out for, we're gonna talk about solo zones. Now, solo zones can be extremely easy or extremely challenging, depending on how strong your understanding is about how they work. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, anytime that you shoot a solo, that solo zone will then delete and respawn somewhere completely random on the map. Now, solo zones can be a zone with just 1 buck in it, or they can be a zone with 2 bucks in it, or 3 bucks in it. All 3 of these bucks right here are standing in one solo zone, as you can see right there, so pretty much any zone with just bucks in it and no females will classify as a solo zone. Now you guys are probably wondering, what if there's a shooter buck in a solo zone? Now as you can see, this deer goes up to 163, that would technically be a shooter buck, but I would say he's gonna score mid 130s, maybe even low 140s, so I'm just gonna leave him. This buck only goes up to 146, so he's definitely a leaver, but this buck right here has a minimum estimate of 153. Like I said, our goal is to make sure that maximum estimate is below 150, so obviously this is a guaranteed must shooter, so what you're gonna want to do is obviously go ahead and shoot it. Now this is another part where if you're stacking 5s in your main zones, it'll help with solos drastically, because pretty much what you're relying on is the respawn of this zone. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this real quick, to have a non-shooter buck in it. So now that I shot that, the zone's going to delete and respawn somewhere completely random on the map, and really the only thing that you can do at that point is hope that it respawns as a non-shooter deer. Now either way, you're going to have to find that solo zone and obviously make sure, because that's a huge part of herd management. Now the good thing about this specific area on the map is anytime that you shoot a solo zone at the sand lake or at the split lakes, whatever you want to call it, that solo zone will respawn somewhere on these two lakes. So it makes it very, very easy for finding your solos on these lakes. Really the only thing that you have to worry about in the sense of solos for the fallow grind is going to be the center river and the coasts. So the center river can have solo zones, at least I've found kind of in this last section before the bridge here. This is a solo right here, and then this is a solo right here. This right here is a zone that only has females in it. It's been like that for the longest time. I cannot tell you why. It just has. And then other than that, I think I have like 1 or 2 solo zones on this lake that I got all shot down, and then pretty much through the whole grind, it's gonna be a constant battle with the coast. I'd recommend that every other rotation, you jump to a tent that you have placed right after the bridge here, and run the whole coast all the way up to where I have this tent at right here. This is a herd zone right here, not a solo zone, but almost every zone on the coast is a solo zone. Now for me, I have 90% of them shot down. The discovered ones that I have here are all shot down to non-shooter deer, but every single time that I run the coast, I always find new solo zones. So like I said, about every other rotation, I would suggest just running the coast. You'd rather be safe than sorry, because I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've had a player come to me, tell me that their map is acting so weird, it's been thousands and thousands of kills and nothing's happening. I'll ask them when the last time they looked for solos was, and they'll usually tell me that either A, they can't remember, or B, they know for sure that their map is fully shot down. Now, the unfortunate thing is you cannot know when your map is fully shot down, because sometimes solo zones, or I'd say even over half the time, solo zones only have 1 buck in them, especially on the coast, and that 1 buck could just be a great one. So keep that in mind. Okay, so the very last thing that I'm going to be showing you guys today is my loadout. Now a lot of you guys are probably wondering why I'm using the improper weapon to shoot my fallow deer. Now I only do this on deer that are not trophies. The reason for that is pretty much just to drop them instantly, if not eliminate that tracking process by literally hundreds and hundreds of meters, just so that way I can get that kill that much faster, because over time, that 5 or 10 minutes of tracking will add up to several hours. I always carry with me the proper 4-8 rifle of choice on me. Today, it's the Zarza 308 because I haven't used it in a while, and I love this weapon. It's a very good 4-8 rifle, and I use this on any diamonds, rares. Not necessarily a great one. I did shoot my first ever great one red deer with it, but for great ones, I usually like to use something a little bit more challenging. Whether you do or not, that's completely up to you. I always use the Odin rifle scope as it is the best scope in the game. You can find this in the Scopes and Crosshairs DLC. I always carry with me the Antler Rattler, as it is the one and only fallow deer caller that we have, besides, I believe, maybe the electronic caller? I don't know, I always use the Antler Rattler no matter what. It is base game, and I would strongly suggest it. As for consumables, I always bring with me doggy biscuits to keep the dog happy, my Apex V binoculars, and tents. Hey guys, if you found today's video helpful in any way, shape, or form, definitely let me know down below in the comment section. Smash that like button and subscribe while you're down there. And also, if you have any other tips and tricks for the fallow grind, definitely drop those in the comment section as well, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people scrolling through there, and the extra help is very, very much appreciated. What I covered today is pretty much every single thing I would tell a new fallow grinder after about 12 or 13,000 kills of experience. I don't remember the exact number. I have that wrote down. I think it's something like 12,500 100, but I've done 3 different Great One grinds. The first one was 8,000 kills, so I have a little bit of experience with them. I can promise you guys, as long as you follow all the steps in today's video, and maybe even go watch a guide on how to use herd management to get better at the HM process, maybe also watch a how to set up for a Great One grind video to get a better understanding on exactly where to place your tents and tripods, you are gonna have an absolute blast with the fallow deer. They are one of the easiest grinds in the entire game, and by far one of the absolute funnest, if not the funnest. But anyways guys, thank you all so much for making it to this point in the video. As always, my name is Squid, you're watching Squidster Outdoors, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.